You have this lifelong interest in racing, and I've spoken with even people here today, even racing fans. They're very surprised to learn that Cindy McCain is a lifelong racing fan. Do you think that maybe this makes you seem more accessible to voters?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just like everybody else. Certain things excite me. Racing is one of them, and I've loved this all my life. So my father introduced me to this, so I don't know if it makes me more accessible, but it certainly is something I love, and I hope other people like that too.
You have, having lived in Arizona while Senator McCain is in Washington, you've been able to avoid a whole lot of the spotlight. Obviously, as we can see today, that's not the case. You're very much in it. And there's this prospect of moving to Washington, living in the White House, the ultimate spotlight in a city that you haven't necessarily always felt very, very welcome in. What do you think about that?
Well, obviously, if my husband were elected, I would be proud to move with him to Washington and to the White House. We made the choice years ago to stay in Arizona, or for me to stay out west with our kids and raise our children in the most normal fashion we could. And we didn't feel like Washington, D.C. was a healthy environment for young kids, particularly doing what we were doing. So we made the right choice. And it wasn't because I didn't like Washington so much, but I cared more about my children and wanted the best for them. So.
You're very complex, multifaceted. You're a private pilot. Why did you start doing that?
Oh gosh, my husband was running for the Senate in Arizona, and in Arizona the only way to get around the state is by small private plane, and I was scared to death to fly. And so I decided I would take ground school and learn a little bit about it so that I could then maybe not be so frightened, and I wound up loving it and buying a plane, and it was something that just caught my interest and my passion. And and I didn't tell my husband though. I went and got my license and then told him. It took him for a flight, so it was a lot of fun.
You're very interested as well in things that are going on abroad. You adopted a baby from abroad. You're involved in Operation Smile. You recently went to Vietnam. You're going to Rwanda next week. Yeah. If you were a First Lady, what causes would you want to champion?
The same things I've been doing and more. I'm a big believer in involvement and being a part of helping. I've always done humanitarian work and relief work, and it's an important part of who I am, and what I hope to do if John is elected is to continue that, but encourage other people. You don't have to go across the ocean to do it. You can do it right in your neighborhood, but government's not the answer to everything. And Americans are so good at giving of themselves, giving of their time, giving of their money and of their expertise. I just want to keep encouraging people to do that, because I think people are kind of, turned off by some things right now, not as inspired, and I'd like to inspire them.
There was a funny moment on Wednesday on the campaign trail. You know I have to ask about it.
That's okay.
Viagra elicited a very long and somewhat hilarious pause from your husband. And I'm just wondering, you're a woman, what do you think about, I guess, that concern? Have you heard from women? Do you understand that concern that maybe Viagra is covered but birth control isn't? What do you think?
You know, I haven't heard that. I had not heard it. And this is an issue that my husband needs to deal with regards to health insurance and coverage for everybody. What we want is a comprehensive, affordable health care plan for everybody, and a plan that people can choose from. And part of that choice would be certainly what kind of coverage they would want with regards to what you just talked about. What insurance companies are doing right now is not my area, but my husband will certainly look into that if elected.
You mentioned your sons a few times today, and on Friday you did something you normally don't do. You mentioned your son coming home. Why talk now about that?
Oh, it was just a moment for me. I'm happy to have him home. Obviously, I'm a mother. When I look at a group of women and know so many of them have their children, they either are serving or about to go overseas to serve, I know how it feels. And it was a group of women, and we were, a lot of them I talked to coming in, I kind of knew how they felt. And it was more about just, I guess, relating to a group of women more so than anything. A group of mothers more than anything. Yeah.
Like yourself, you're a very proactive mother. There are some reports out there, questions of whether your husband was separated legally or had filed for divorce from his first wife. And I want to ask what you think about that, because I think people read those reports and so many people vote on their gut. They vote on what they think about someone's character. And I want to know, what do you think about those reports, and what can you tell us about your husband's character?
My husband and I have been married for 28 years, and we have a loving, caring relationship, and those are personal things that I'm not willing to speak about.
Okay, and my most important question, the last question is, will there be a Danica Patrick endorsement of John McCain?
I don't know. I hope so, but oh my gosh, what an exciting thing to be able to meet her today. I was thrilled. I'm a huge fan, and it was so nice of her to take time today.
Just tell us real quick why you're such a huge fan.
Gosh, you know, she's number one. I mean, she's a woman, and she's excelled in her sport, in a very difficult sport for a woman to compete in. And she's done well. She's held her head high. She's done a beautiful job at representing the sport. I just admire her. She's a great inspiration to women.
She is wonderful for the sport as well. Cindy, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.